Hello everyone, myself Preeti Kachchar, lecturer in Computer Department from VPMP Polytechnic. My subject name is Database Management System. Unit is Introduction to Database System and the topic is Concepts and Definition. Objective. After watching this video, you can learn these topics: data dictionary and its components, data administrator, database administrator, operations performed on the database system. Data dictionary and its components. Data dictionary or information repository is mini database management system that manages metadata. What is metadata? That we discussed is in our first video. Metadata is data about data. So data dictionary stores the metadata and which is a mini database management system. Data in the data dictionary are maintained by several programs, so it creates inconsistency. To prevent them, data dictionary is integrated with DBMS, that means in database management system. A useful data dictionary stores and manages following types of information, that means description of schema. Schema means structure of a table, detailed information on physical database design, that means the design of the database and where it is actually located in the system, description of database users, their responsibilities and their access rights, that means how many number of users are there, their responsibilities and their access rights, means which data will be accessed by which users is known as access rights. So all these details are stored in a data dictionary for the database management system. There are two types of data dictionaries. We can say active data dictionary and passive data dictionary. Active data dictionary means it is automatically managed by the database management system, while passive data dictionary is non-integrated data dictionary and it is used only for documentation purpose, which is set of files. Data dictionary components. These are entities, attributes, entity set, key and relationship. What is entity? We can say any physical object or an event is known as entity. We can define it as any item about which information is stored is called entity. For example, Thomas is a real living entity and working in VPMP College. So VPMP College is interested to keep information about Thomas. So anything which is required to recorded in our database, that can become entity for that database management system. Next is attributes. An attribute is a property or characteristic of an entity. Any special property, any special characteristic or about entity is known as a attribute. For example, Thomas is our entity, then employee number of Thomas and salary of Thomas are attributes for the entity Thomas. Now the entity set. A collection of entities of same type are called entity set. That means similar category of entities are become entity set. For example, employee of all companies. Next is key. The data item for which a computer uses to identify a record in a database system is referred to as key. So we can say whenever we have a lot of data and we want to find a single thing or we want to find something from our database, then we have some kind of key from which we can find our particular record is known as a key. Relationship. The association or the ways that different entities relate to each other is called relationship. That means between different types of entities, when they are related to each other or in association with each other, it is known as a relationship. There are two types of relationship. We can say one-to-one relationship. We can write it as one relationship. For example, one employee having one employee number. So in organization there are different employees, but each employee having a single employee number, which is a unique number. We can draw in a figure, or we can explain it with a figure as given here. There are two entities, employee and employee number. In figure, employee and employee number, these entities are drawn in a rectangle because they are entities. And to display, it is a one relationship. The one vertical line is drawn in between the relationship line. So employee, a single employee having a single employee number. Next is one to many relationship. That means 1 gem n. For example, one department having more than one employees, or one salary is given to many employees. So here in figure there are two entities, department and employee. For example, computer department having a few number of employees. So department is single, so it is a 1, but they are having different employees or few employees, so it shows many relationship. So in figure, relationship is displayed by a horizontal line, but there are two cross lines to display many relationship with employee entity. Next is many to many relationship. That means n gem m relationship. We can say as an example, much salary is given to many employees. For example, in one department there are number of employees, and all the employees are getting different types of salaries. For example, 5 employees are there, and from that 5, 2 employees are getting 10,000, one employee is getting 15,000, and another 2 employees are getting, for example, 30,000. So types of salary are different, and also the employees are different. So it is known as many to many relationship. In figure, we can display it as in both sides cross lines with a horizontal relationship line. So it displays many to many relationship between employee and salary. Data administrator, in short it is known as a DA. DA is more of a managerial person in the database environment. DA is involved in deciding what data will be included and what data will be excluded in the database. So whenever we want to create any database, the data and information will be collected by the DA, and then they decide what data need to included and what data need not to included in the database. DA is involved in strategic planning of the data with reference to database as well as organization. So the strategic planning is also decided by the DA for the database. DA sets long-term goals, set policies and standards for managing those data. DA is not much dependent on DBMS, and type and quality of a data that is to be handling by other users and the DBMS. Database administrator, in short it is known as a DBA. We can say a database administrator is an individual person or group of persons with an overview of one or more databases who controls the design and use of the database. That means DBA can be either a single person, or it can be a group of persons, or they can handle one or more than one database and controls the design and the use of the database. DBA should be a technical person who implements policy decisions of the databases. That means DBA must be a technical person and he or she implements the policy decisions. That means the rules and regulations, we can say, for the databases. DBA is responsible for overall control of the system at technical level, unlike a DA. That means DBA is whole and sole the responsible person for the overall control system of a database, and at technical level he is also responsible, while DA is not technically responsible for the database. Operations performed on the database system. Following are the list of operations which we can perform on the database. Creating tables or objects in the database. In a database, we can create any number of tables and other database objects. Adding user data to the tables in the database. We can add any number of data when we want to add in a table in the database. Retrieving data from one or more tables. That means we can select or fetch the data from one or more tables. Modifying the existing data in one or more tables. That means those data which we already add and we need to modify or we need to change. So we can change those data in one or more tables. Deleting data from the database. We can remove any type of data from the database. Removing tables or objects from the database. That means we can completely remove the tables or objects from the database. Granting access permission to the other users on one's own tables or objects. It means when we want to access other users' data or other users' table or objects, then we need to take first permission. If the user gives the permission, then and then the second user can use those data. Otherwise, the second user cannot use those data. Thank you. See you in next video.